The Braddock Expedition, also known as Braddock's Defeat, was a significant event in the early stages of the French and Indian War. Led by Major General Edward Braddock in 1755, the expedition aimed to capture the French-held Fort Duquesne, present-day Pittsburgh. Despite meticulous planning and the involvement of notable figures like George Washington, the expedition ended in disaster for the British. Understanding the reasons behind its failure and its impact on the war provides valuable insights into the early American colonial history and military strategy. The French and Indian War was part of a larger 7 Years' War between Britain and France, with both powers vying for control of North America. The British aimed to drive the French from the strategically important Ohio Valley. Major General Edward Braddock was appointed to lead an expedition to capture Fort Duquesne, a key French stronghold. Braddock, a seasoned British officer, brought with him 2 regiments of regular troops and colonial militia, including a young George Washington, who served as an aide-de-camp. The objective was clear: secure the frontier by eliminating the French influence in the region. The preparation for the expedition was extensive. Braddock gathered nearly 2,100 men, including British regulars, colonial militia, and artillery. Supplies and equipment were transported through the rugged terrain of western Pennsylvania, a challenging logistical feat. Braddock's strict discipline and the traditional European military tactics contrasted sharply with the frontier warfare experienced by many of his colonial soldiers. Despite these differences, Braddock managed to organize a formidable force. George Washington's knowledge of the terrain and experience in wilderness combat proved invaluable. However, the expedition faced significant delays due to the difficult terrain, slow-moving supply trains, and the need to build roads through dense forests. The march to Fort Duquesne was arduous. The expedition moved slowly through the wilderness, cutting a road as they advanced. The terrain was rugged, and dense forests, steep hills, and numerous rivers to cross. These challenges slowed the progress and strained resources. Early skirmishes with the French and Native American forces hinted at the dangers ahead, but Braddock remained confident in his traditional military tactics. His insistence on maintaining European-style formations and discipline despite the unconventional warfare tactics used by their enemies created tension within the ranks. Nevertheless, the troops passed on, determined to reach Fort Duquesne and achieve their objective. The Braddock Expedition met its disastrous end on July 9, 1755, near the Monongahela River, just a few miles from Fort Duquesne. As Braddock's forces crossed the river, they were ambushed by a combined force of French soldiers and their Native American allies. The attackers used guerrilla tactics, taking advantage of the dense forest to launch a surprise assault on a British column. Braddock's insistence on traditional European battle formations proved ineffective in the face of unconventional warfare. Chaos quickly ensued as the British troops struggled to respond to the ambush. The dense terrain made it difficult for them to maneuver, and visibility was limited. The French and Native American forces, well versed in the terrain and tactics of wilderness combat, inflicted heavy casualties on the British. Braddock attempted to rally his men and restore order, but the situation deteriorated rapidly. Key moments in the battle included the death of many officers, which further demoralized the troops, and Braddock's own injury. Braddock was shot off his horse and severely wounded, leading into a collapse of the command structure. Despite these efforts of leaders like George Washington to organize a retreat, the British forces were overwhelmed and forced to flee, leaving behind significant casualties and equipment. The battle resulted in a resounding defeat, with nearly 1,000 British soldiers killed or wounded. The aftermath of the Battle of the Monongahela was dire for the British. The retreat was chaotic, with many soldiers deserted. Braddock succumbed to his injuries in just a few days later, marking a tragic end to the expedition. The defeat had significant consequences. It emboldened the French and their Native American allies and exposed the weakness of British military tactics in the American wilderness. The loss also highlighted the need for better cooperation between British regulars and colonial forces. The disastrous expedition underscored the challenges of the frontier warfare and had lasting effects on British military strategy in North America. Modern historians view Braddock Expedition as a critical learning experience for the British military. Braddock's rigid adherence to traditional tactics in an unfamiliar and hostile environment contributed to the expedition's failure. The disaster demonstrated the effectiveness of guerrilla tactics and the importance of adapting to local conditions. George Washington's observations and experience during the expedition influenced his future military strategies, emphasizing flexibility and the value of local knowledge. The Braddock Expedition remains a significant study in military history, highlighting the complexities of colonial warfare and the evolution of military tactics in the face of diverse challenges. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and comment below, and follow along for more 5-Minute History.